claims that protests have become commercialized, that the NGOs are funding activists, politicians hiring goons, influencers chasing online clout. And how does this affect the legitimacy of civic?
Their sponsor. Remember, the government wants those who can praise them. We work for the benefit of the community. We want the best for the community. Good health, good education, lower tax, and everything in the community to be better.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's our work.
Okay.
However, on speaking of the infiltrators who are paid, as you have said, yes, there are those who have been paid.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Coast Show. Indeed, it has been some time, but we are back. I will be your host for this episode. My name is Billy Okothumboya, and in this episode, we confront a moment that has shaken the soul of this nation. That's the ongoing protest. Before we delve into this discussion, let me welcome my guest for this show.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My official names are Michael Bala. I convene the Right to Life Committee Western Chapter under the Social Justice Chapters Working Group. In the Right to Life Committee, we advocate for the right to life as it speaks up, and campaigns against extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, inhuman treatment, like the one we had in Tanzania. And did I mention enforced disappearances?
Yeah.
Yes. The entire right to life, fraternity.
Okay.
It is a family, a big family. Yes.
That's very great. Now, you've heard the mention of right to life fraternity. That's the basis of our discussion today. Claims that protests have become commercialized, that the NGOs are funding activists, politicians hiring goons, influencers chasing online clout. And how does this affect the legitimacy of civic movements in Kenya?
One, the community that I represent, the Social Justice Fraternity, is a grassroots organization. When I say grassroots, it means we work in the community, and we amplify the voices of the community. We do say that we are the eyes and the voice of the community. Social justice centers, Western chapter, we have almost more than 26 social justice centers registered, with each center a membership of 30 members, where we advocate for the different rights of the people. However, on your question on the infiltration by other CSO who are commercialized, it is true. There are organizations which are commercialized to counter the work that we do. Remember that in this space, whatever we do is we amplify the voice of the community.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas the government, when we speak of the protest of 2024, which was against the finance bill. You know, there are these organizations which come up sponsored by the government or other organizations working towards the betterment of their sponsor, the ideologies of their sponsor. Remember, the government wants those who can praise them. We work for the benefit of the community. We want the best for the community. Good health, good education, lower tax, and everything in the community to be better.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's our work.
Okay.
However, on speaking of the infiltrators who are paid, as you have said, yes, there are those who have been paid, the organizations, and there are also content creators who are paid by the government to infiltrate in this space.
Okay.
And that's why also we find the shrinking of the civic space.
Now, on the same note of speaking of infiltrators in that space of your movement towards amplifying the voices of people, now, do you think some organizations have strayed from civic education into activism for hire?
Yes, there are those, the same way I mentioned, we have different organizations coming up. And during the Gen Z protest, you've seen those who are in the front line joining the I don't know, the bread-based or blood-based,
Whatever
the name you call them.
Yeah.
They were so much very active during the protest, and now, as you see, they have joined the government through the opposition, through the Gen Z protest, and they found their way. Now they cannot speak again against whatever is happening for the people.
Yeah.
And it's true, there are people who are really reaping out of the blood of the citizens and the Gen Zs. And I cannot lie to say that, yes, there are organizations who are paid by other politicians or other organizations.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, on the same note, there is that hashtag that is really trending online for a protest that has been scheduled for Wednesday, 25th. Now, on the same note, how can the public distinguish between genuine human rights defenders and political proxies?
It is very easy for the community to identify the genuine activists and the political proxies, because one, the genuine activists are here. They have been there for the community. They are the ones who reside with the community and doing the work of the community with or without the funding of the political or other organizations. Those who have been attending barazas and public participations and working with the community in all the ups and downs. They can identify them because these people, whether there is pressure or there is no pressure, these people have been in the front line. Whether we are being tear gassed or being gunned down, they never back down.
Okay.
Remember the political proxies, these people work for their funders. Okay. Once the funding goes away, definitely these people you will never find them anywhere. And for those who work for the community, they are not affiliated with any political party. You'll never, their political ideologies doesn't revolve around tribal or any other political party.
Okay. Yes. Now, on the recent protest that happened last week and claimed the life of a mask vendor in the Nairobi CBD, that's the only event, or rather the victim that was brought in the limelight. But speculations online claim that there are some people in the Kenyatta National Hospital, that namely Boniface fighting for his life, Samuel with a bullet in the spine, and Francis still unable to walk. That's according to the online reports that we've received. Now, does the state recognize the cost of protest on young lives?
The state will never recognize the cost of the protest because they are the perpetrators.
Okay.
The state we say that the work of the police ni utumishi kwa wote, but it doesn't happen that way. The state works for their own interest.
Yeah.
And for those who have been wounded, the data that you've just mentioned is the data revealed by the CSOs who work on the ground,
Yeah.
to make sure that the state takes accountability of whatever they do. That's why they put the data online.
Yeah.
Remember, there are some incidents, or there are some data you'll never get from the TV, and there's some data you'll never get from the newspaper, the local newspapers.
Yeah.
And there are data that you can get online, verified data by the CSOs, mainly the social justice, who monitor each and every protest.
Yeah.
Because that is what we do, to put government on check.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, on the same note, there have been protests over the years. In every regime, there has to be a protest for accountability. That's for oversight. Now, how would you assess the Kenyan police response to protests over the years, and particularly the handling of Gen Z-led demonstrations that began just last year?
I would say it's so unfortunate that the police are failed to do their work in terms of protecting the protest.
Yeah.
Which is our protest is our constitutional mandate. And if, as Kenyans, we don't do protest, then we'll be failing our constitution.
Yeah.
We will be raping our constitution. And it has been, protest has been criminalized by the political regime or political elites or the political class now, because they are afraid of the power of the people. It is through the protest that the people exercise their power. Because one, the people we chose to represent us as failures. They have been bought by the political class.
Yeah.
And it is through the protest that we now represent ourselves. And it is so sad that the Gen Zs and the millennials have been criminalized. You remember last year, President calling the Gen Zs and the millennials as terrorists.
Yeah.
So it is so unfortunate that it is a crime now being a Gen Z in Kenya. Now walking even as just a young person, it is a criminal. It is a criminal that we are going back. It is so unfortunate that we are going back to the dark days of the eras of Moi, where it would be a crime for you to exercise your civic duty. And I think we need the police reform working groups still have a long way to go to reform the police to do their mandate. During protest, police needs to give protection to the protesters against the infiltrators. And you see, there is a protest last 2 weeks one. You see, the police were colluding with goons and thieves. You remember now the police are the ones who are now carrying TVs, where the goons are broken into shops. The police carry TVs from the hawkers. Police are now directing those who the goons to break into shops. it's so unfortunate that we are leading back to the dark days.
Okay. Now, speaking of the protection of the police towards the civilians, there is a concern that civic education has not kept up with the evolving nature of protests in Kenya, especially digital activism. Now, is Gen Z adequately informed of their rights and risks as per your data in the organization?
You remember in the last year, the Gen Zs were using the digital platform to educate the nation on the finance bill.
Yeah, sure.
And they were breaking the finance bill bit by bit within the digital platform. But I must say the government is so clever, and they are always ready to counterattack in each and every event. Which, you know, the government, you post this, and then them with their bloggers, they post the contrary.
Yeah.
Gen Z are so informed, and you heard the Gen Z are even ready to engage in the 2027 election, in educating the people on their civic duty. But what we say now, we need to combine the civic education and the political education.
Okay.
We educate the people on why should they vote, and why should the young people vie for the political post.
Yeah.
Sahi unaona hashtag inaenda fagia wote. Fagia wote, because we don't need the old mentality. We don't need the old mindset. We need the young mindset. For the young people to take power, to liberate this country.
Yeah.
So that we come with the fresh ideas. The young people need to take power, so that the Gen Zs, with this ideological minds that they have, the innovation minds they have, they can lead the country through innovation. Because, you know, now the tactics that we are using, the guerrilla tactics which were used during the World War II and World War I, is the same ideology that we're using now. So what I can say is that Gen Z are very much aware of what they should do in terms of digital activism, but they need to be more organized in terms of and more organized and strategic in terms of what they want politically. And that's why we need political education, what they want politically. And now, through the civic education, we can drive that agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you've spoken of mindset, and there is this thing that the Gen Z kept echoing. That's the recycling of leaders. On this note, many Gen Z say they feel betrayed. Betrayed because of what? Not just by politicians, but by civil society voices who went silent after the Finance Bill 2024. What is your response to this accusation?
My response is the civil society need to go silent. Civil society has been working tirelessly. One, to reform this nation through dialogues. Remember, not every day is a street day. Sometimes we must go to the ground and empower people organically. And we must go to the ground to advocate for these rights. We say that the power lies in numbers. Gen Z cannot do it alone. Gen Z needs millennials. We need baby boomers. We need the lost generation. We need everyone. We need even the spirit of the ancestors. So, the civil society has been using now the voice of the people, going to the grassroots, educating the grassroots on the political ideologies and the civic education. Because why we need also to educate the people. Why should we demonstrate? Because during the Gen Z protest, the 2024 finance bill, some people didn't know even why they were going on the streets. Some were just going on the street because they see people going on the street taking selfies. Some were going on the street to take selfies, which was what
prove that they are on the
streets. Some are going on the streets to be seen. They didn't know why they're going on the street.
Sure.
Even I also want also to mention that even those people who broke into parliament, some didn't know why they broke into parliament.
They just followed the mass.
They just followed the mass. So, in this course, we need each and everyone. We need, because Gen Zs cannot do it alone. We need the people on the ground. We need our mothers. We need the fathers. We have to tell them. Because you remember during last year's protest, there were fathers who were saying, calling their children that you don't. Kama sisi ndo tulipigania Kenya na hatukufaulu. Why are you going to the street? So we needed those fathers to accompany us in the streets.
Okay. All right. Now, there is that quote after President William Ruto last year mentioned that some of the protesters who were on the streets were somehow terrorists. The Gen Zs felt hurt. And on that, we often say that not all protesters are the same. Yet we even see goons suffer during the protest. Like the last week protest, you saw how the goons were treated. Now, should every injured or killed Kenyan at a protest be treated with the same dignity, or the goons who are injured in the protest should be treated differently?
Under Article 43 of our Constitution, everyone has a right to proper medication. Everyone has a right to be treated right. And under Article 29 of the Constitution, everyone has a right to life. And a right to life, as I say, it's wide. Once you are injured by the bullet, whether you are an infiltrator or you are a genuine protester, you have a right to live. Because we never know. You look at the story of Saul, who was used to kill those people who were advocating for Jesus. And eventually, he saw the light. So, and he's the one who wrote so many books in the Bible. So like Paul, we say that those goons and the infiltrators, everyone can change to the best. You never know. Maybe that goon could be the one to be the president of Kenya. Now you deny them medication. So everyone has a right to be treated equally, despite of where your allegiance are. Because remember, those goons are also children of people. They are also fathers. Some are even mothers. I saw this content on TikTok where
now on Wednesday, influencers and several activists online are mentioning that they will be commemorating the June 25th protest that happened last year, and that activism is led by none other than Cyprian Nyakundi. As your parting shot, what message would you give to young Kenyans watching their peers bleed or watch their peers rise and lose hope, all within a system that rarely listens? Because mark you, the Gen Zs mentioned that they gave President Ruto a maximum or a grace period of 1 year. That's from June last year to June this year, he should have already made a progress on matters national governance.
During the protest 2024, and now the recent protest last week, 2025, you had had and you had been seen. I remember the president had the call for the Gen Zs and came to the Twitter and made his remarks. And your courage must matter more than words. For you to bring the president to the Twitter, it is a great milestone. The road is long and the system may seem dim, but history shows us that change often begins with the brave. And few who refuse to stay silent. Your pain is real, your frustration justified, but within you lies immense power. The power to organize, to innovate, to demand justice on your own terms. Remember, the Gen Zs are not alone. Every voice raised, every step taken adds to the chorus that cannot be ignored forever. Gen Z should keep on rising, keep believing and keep holding onto each other. Remember, there is no reward in cowards. There is no reward in silence. They all say that silence is the biggest betrayal, and we cannot afford to be silent at this time. Let us keep on pushing and call the government to check. 25th is that day. We will remember our fallen heroes and we continue pushing. It is not yet over until all are free.
Thank you. Now, thank you so much. That has been Michael Bala, who has given us a great insight on the protest that has been going on in the Kenyan space. I've been your host for Chimbo Media, where we excavate the impacts of various organizations and the causes they represent. I've been Billy Mboya. See you next time.